help us. But we have to start it. We have to come together and be on one agenda, be on one page, be able to sit down and talk to each other, be able to express ourselves with each other with respect. And one of my major concerns is that we're not quite there yet. We really have to focus and put emphasis on bringing our people together. That's where it begins, and if we don't begin there, we will consistently be left behind. And I will end with that right now because I get overwhelmed if I continue to talk about it. But this is my message, and this is what I say wherever I go, wherever I stand, wherever I meet. I don't want you to tell me about what they're doing across town. What are we doing? My message to the community board is unity. I open every month with my remarks to them. Say, unity in the community. If we don't help ourselves and come together, it will be very difficult to get anyone else to really give us the help that we need.
Good afternoon. First, I'm going to honor to God. It's always good to be in the house of the Lord on any and every occasion. Thank you all for having me, and thanks to Reverend Craig for putting this, working with this, and staying with it. As I am president of the Jamaica branch NAACP, I think we've worked with everybody in some capacity. And to all the elected officials we've worked with, and my respect to all of them, all the elected officials up here sitting on the panel, clergy, etc. I think we talk about community. One of my concerns is like where we will be in 20 years, and I think when we ride by North Conduit in Springfield, that's an example. We're going to have to take that position. If you look at economics and education, but economics, and we still having our young people looking for a job, we cannot fight crime and police on incarceration unless you can give people education and employment. You can't give the economic position a job, you don't have education. And you can't get the education if you're locked up. They all go hand in hand. But I think as a community, we have to be very careful. Why I talked about Springfield and Conduit, because we joined that fight 4 years back, and there were others fighting before we got there. And there's some people in this room that we did a lot of things to stay on that, but that was an example. And you know, that showed what maybe 10 to 15% of the community could do, because you know, as of now, the man finally changed his mind. We told him he would not build that hotel in our community. But that we have to do with everything in our community, with our schools. And then I'm glad to say, as the superintendent, we have to be very, very careful that we don't write off this whole educational policy that's going, this mayor is bringing. I'm just praying, Lord, let the days go faster, this man can get out of office. But we, Reverend Norton and I meet the other night, we adopted the school, but if we really think about our future, what's happening with our educational system, and when we hear all this nonsense, and when we look at the fact that our schools are still less amount of money, overcrowded, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If we don't address that issue, we're not going to have young people we can fight for every job in the world, but they will not be qualified. And we can't forget about the penal system and what they're doing. And I look at, you know, even the school systems, that this whole pipeline, the prison thing, I mean, you know, we was in school, and I actually get a little struck every now and then. I was a good guy, but you know, every now and then things happen. But we never got a record. But popping somebody in the nose or getting popped back, we never got a record. And those things are more heavily inflicted in the minority community. Not about our education. I wonder what's the game plan is. So those are things that I think about. We look at the future. What it affect us as a race of people? Those things. Do we have a future?
Amy and Morpheus, thank you so much. And I've been in this community for many, many years. My 27th, going to 28th year in education. Started off, began as a teacher in the classroom with our kids, and moved on to becoming an assistant principal and a principal before doing this job as a superintendent with its current ramifications. I remember being an assistant principal at PS 134 and having conversations with Councilman Montgomery. I mean, even before he ran for that particular office, and all the support and stuff. I want to thank Senator Smith for all his support through the years, and Reverend Gadsden, Leroy Gadsden, all the excellent help that he's given through the years, and the amount of encouragement he's given in our schools through the years. And as a community, we are responsible for our students and our families. And education is the single best investment that we can really make in the future of our children. And as a matter of fact, if you take the NBA and the NFL and those kind of lottery type things out of it, it's about education to get our kids a successful future and a successful life as productive citizens. So I'm committed to education. Mr. Montgomery was telling me that, you know, my collar looks like like I was in the priesthood, the ministry, and that was something I considered. But God called me to education, and I don't have any regrets for that, because our children, our future is in our children, and they're the ones who we got to pass it on to build and strengthen our communities. And we can't do enough for our children. We can't do too much for them. And we just want to encourage us to continue to support in whatever structures we find ourselves, to support our children, our families, our hardworking teachers and principals. I know a lot of principals in this district were criticized over the last 15 or so years. We have 13 new principals in the last 2 years. And people don't even realize that. It's a very, very difficult job under difficult conditions. We don't make political policy. And you would find my comments in these meetings, like totally support what these gentlemen and these ladies are doing for our community. I try to keep my comments to education. We do appreciate your support on the political end. And we look forward to continuing to do everything we can with whatever resources we have to support the children and our families. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here. I'm impressed that all of you are here on this first Saturday in December. There are a lot of events going on today. There are a lot of other places where I know we both need to be, so I want to try to be succinct. Where we go from here as a people is where we want to go as a people. We have self-determination, and just talking from an education theme, we need to not only focus on educating our children, but re-educating ourselves. We should have never had someone else own that property in Springfield and Conduit. This community is the community that has the highest amount of absentee landlords of any community in the city. We need to re-educate ourselves. So, that's something that I've been saying back and forth, and we need to take care of our children, but we need to re-educate ourselves. We have our homes here, we've had our major investment here. There should be one piece of commercial property in this area that is not owned by us. And that's something that I've been saying since before I got elected, since I've been elected. Anytime we have a chance to have a forum, we need to own our own communities. And if we're going to control our own destiny, we have to own our own property.
Thank you very much, Leroy. And Reverend Craig, thank you for bringing us together. And obviously, I'm more interested in the question and answers. I think that's important. Obviously, there is a lot of discussion going on around what's happening in the Senate, what the leadership is going to look like, and what does that mean for our districts. But let me just say one little political statement, because I hear it from time to time. Malcolm Smith is not a Republican, plain and simple. You can check my registration, like they check Obama's birth certificate. It is a Democrat. He is a Democrat, always will be a Democrat, plain and simple. Does Malcolm make decisions that he thinks is going to be best for the district that he's been representing for 12 years? Absolutely, and I always will. And I will leave it at that in terms of questioning, but I would just say this. For those of you who know Malcolm Smith, if for 1 minute you think that I'm going to make a decision about what I do politically that's not going to be positive for this community, then you are sadly mistaken and you don't know me. For 12 years, I've had no election. And you know why? Because the people of this district represented the fact that they know that the decisions I made are for the benefit of this community. And if you think for 1 minute that the decision that I've made of recent, which was a very difficult decision, was not for the benefit of this community, then I'm sorry for you. Because the bottom line is I did it for this community. I think it's the right thing in the long run, and we're doing the best we can. So, questions, I'm fine, but there's a lot of nonsense that is out there, plain and simple. And I think the more questions you ask, the more you get filled in on what the real story is. Thank you. Oh, and I think you got a flyer in your hand about the Rockaway. Please make everybody make sure that's a real big issue. That's the #1 issue in this city, in this state. And I think if you are participating in that and some other things, that's really what we got to be focused on. Those politics is one thing, but what really is matter is what are we doing for these people post-Sandy? What are we doing to create jobs in our community? What are we doing to keep our schools open? And how are we keeping our neighborhoods safe? And that's my view.
Once again, thank you all for coming. I'm going to ask that anyone who would like to pose questions to please use that microphone there.
Good afternoon, Senator Smith. Do you fault people for being concerned, even angry, that you have even broached the subject of running for mayor as a Republican? Are people justifiably angry or concerned?
First of all, I'm not running as a Republican. If I get in the race, I'm looking to put 3 lines together, and that is Democratic line, Independent line, and the Republican line, a fusion ticket. So just to answer that question, I'm not running as a Republican. If I enter the race, I would not be running as a Republican.
How can you run with a Democratic nod and a Republican nod? How does that work?
So how it works is, I would be in the primary. If I entered the race, I would be in November. And the way that you get into the November race is you have to have one of the other established lines that are in the state of New York. The Democratic line, the Republican line, the Independent line, and then of course there would be a Democrat from Malcolm Smith. And that's how that would happen.
How could the proposed Democrats for Smith exist at a time come November when there would be a Democratic nominee? Are you asking for the Democrats for Smith to break off from whoever the Democratic nominee is and roll with you and not the Democratic nominee?
Yeah, but that's their choice. Everybody has a choice who they're going to elect. So there are, if in fact it comes to pass, there would be a number of individuals who said, Malcolm, I support you because they know what I stand for, all that I've stood for, and what I mean and what I care about with this city. If they think that I can do the job, that's up to them. No one's being forced to do anything. Just like if I decided to run and I needed your vote, I got to fight for every single person's vote here, just like Christine Quinn would, just like Bill Thompson has to, just like Bill de Blasio. If you think that they're going to walk in here and they just own your vote, then that's your mistake. You should have them walk in here and convince you that you deserve their vote. I would have to do the same thing.
If you're a Democrat, do you feel politically bound to support the nominee of the Democratic Party going forward into the general election?
Well, if I'm in the race, I'm supporting Malcolm Smith.
Okay. Would people feel betrayed that if there's a Democratic primary and somebody is the victor, that portions of the Democratic Party would not support that Democratic candidate and would slide away from the Democrats to run over for you? Would they feel betrayed?
No, I don't think so. Here's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to be taken for granted. Period. And for too long, our community has been taken. They just assume that, you know what? They're going to vote Democrat. Or they're going to toe the line. Now, I'm not saying anything with toeing the line, but there's nothing wrong with thinking independently or coming up with your own thoughts. You don't have to vote for Malcolm Smith. You don't have to vote for Christine Quinn. You want to talk about betrayal? Let's talk about betrayal. Let's talk about the fact that Christine Quinn, if Christine Quinn had not cut the deal that she did with Mayor Bloomberg and gave him that 3rd term, we'd be talking about a Bill Thompson right now voting for him for his 2nd term. So when you want to talk about betrayal, talk about the Democrat who betrayed another Democrat that was African American. Malcolm wasn't involved in that deal at all. All Malcolm said was, you know what? I think it's time for people in Southeast Queens to start thinking a little bit bigger themselves. And I think it's time for us to be able to say, you know what? Manhattan doesn't have to always produce a mayor. Why can't Queens produce a mayor?
Last question. If you were mayor of this city, would Ray Kelly be your police commissioner?
Well, I'm not the mayor. I'm not going to answer that question.
No, but you're on the spot.
Leroy Common would be my chancellor of
Excuse
education.
me.
No, but direct question, would Ray Kelly be your police commissioner if you're elected mayor? Direct question, sir.
I'm not answering that question because I'm not the mayor. I'm not the mayor
But you
yet.
aspire to be, but it's a
That's
legitimate
correct.
question. Would he be your police commissioner?
I would consider him like everybody else.
Thank you. That's an answer unto itself.
Good
Better
afternoon.
answer than that.
Good afternoon.
My question to you, Senator Smith, is the four people who are with the independent party right now, last 2 years, all four of them are Democrats. And in the last 2 years, they all have caucused with, and for the most part, voted with the Republicans. Now, you are saying that you are going to caucus with these same four people, along with Felder, who ran as a Democrat, and Democrats worked very hard to get him elected in Brooklyn twice. A lot of money was put into his race by Democrats, and now he has betrayed the Democrat Party by going over to the IEC. My question to you, and like it was said earlier, sometimes you can't tell a Democrat from a Republican, you really can't, but my concern is we have an opportunity now to take back the Senate as Democrats by you going over to the, and I'm going to call them the four white boys, and the white lady, because that's what it is. They call them the four amigos. We got the four whites. So you're going to be the sixth person, but you're the black guy. Why are you doing that? How is that helping the Democrats in the Senate, your partners?
And I'm so happy you asked that question because nobody knows the real story. First of all, Simcha Felder didn't get supported by the Democrats. The Republicans ran his race, and he's not joining the IDC. He actually joined. No, he actually joined the Republican Party.
Okay.
He's not in the IDC. Second thing is, and all of you should know this, for 2.5 years, the Democratic Conference refused to talk to the IDC. They had 2.5 years to try to work with them so that Jeff Klein and his group would come back in. They wouldn't go and eat dinner at all. They wouldn't talk to them. They isolated each other, and there are personal reasons. Now, after the deal was done, then they call up Jeff Klein and say, do you want to sit down and talk? After it's done, they could have called Jeff Klein November 8th, right after the election. They did not. They could have called him November 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20 to 31, December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, nobody did. 2.5 years. They had an opportunity to develop a relationship back with him. They refused to. Thirdly, Malcolm, the deal was done. They needed 32 votes. When they got Simcha Felder and the IDC, the deal was done. Malcolm didn't join the IDC, and then all of a sudden, that's what made that coalition come together. The deal was done. They have 35 votes. Malcolm joined, you asked me a question.
Okay, but
Malcolm,
I want to stop you there because from what I've been reading, there were 2 seats still in question.
no, listen, Lois, you was in the Senate. There are 2 seats in question. Jeff already made his deal with Dean Skelos, even without those 2 seats. So if you want to ask Jeff Klein, like, why did you do that? Remember, they've been functioning like that for the last 2 years. That's nothing new. Anybody who's listening thinks that this just happened on November 8th. You're sadly mistaken. They've been doing that for 2.5 years. The Democrats and Jeff Klein and them had a problem with each other going back 2 years. What do you do over 2 years? What do you do if you're in a household where you're not getting along with somebody and you live there? You talk. You talk. They had 2.5 years to act like adults, and they act like children. They didn't talk. Now, after the election, when everything is done, and now it looks like they're going to have more, now they go, oh, let me call you on the phone. Meanwhile, they have been working for the last 2 years in a group. So they naturally gravitated toward each other. But again, Malcolm is a Democrat or has been a Democrat. My involvement with the IDC has nothing to do with not that it been the majority or not. Jeff Klein and the 4 had already cut their deal with the 31. That's 35. So even if they won those 2 seats, the Democrats only have 29. They don't have 32. They would never have 32 because Jeff Klein and them were not going back to deal with the Democratic conference.
And I understand that. But you were a part of the Democratic
The
conference.
one that threw me under the bus. Yes, you were part of that too. Answer the truth. If you want to talk real, let's be honest. You had 9 Democratic, black Republican Democrats coming to my office and say, Malcolm, Hiram and Montserrat and Pedro Espada jumped ship, so we think you should step aside. They threw me under the bus and you know the deal. Don't raise a question.
No,
You have to be honest.
I'm being honest.
Well, no, everybody needs to know the story.
Okay,
So don't paint me in no corner. Let's be for real.
I'm not going to paint you in the corner. I just want clarification that if you were also a part of the conference, the Democratic conference, why didn't you, as a leader, a former leader, why didn't you try to convince the current majority leader and the other people in the Democratic conference to caucus with Klein and his 3 people to try to bring them together? Why couldn't we work?
You know how many times I tried to do that during the year? You know how many times people thought that I was threatening John Sampson to take back his leadership? Do you know that they actually said we've got to kill off Malcolm Smith because he's the only one that can take the leadership from you, John Sampson. So let's keep it real. And you know that because you work for a member. You know it like I know it. So come on, Willows.
Listen,
if you want to
I know
talk,
it.
let's talk real.
Listen.
Let me ask you a question. Is it not true that they were threatening and said, let's kill Malcolm off?
I never heard that.
You know that they said that.
No. I never heard that.
Lois,
I'm being very honest.
Lois, you're in the church.
Malcolm.
You're in the church, Lois. You're a part of
Malcolm,
Shirley
wait a
Huntley's
minute.
team.
Let's just stay on
Let's
topic.
listen.
Stay on topic.
Can we move forward?
Yes, we can move forward.
Answer to the question.
Okay, fine. But wait a minute.
I agree.
You got an understanding. Find out what's going on.
With all due respect to my time, because I have
Leroy
3
has
other
to go.
events that I need to get to before 5 o'clock.
But I just.
So if
I did.
nobody has questions for me, can I please leave? That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The answer
Okay,
is, let me just say this. The answer is I did. For the last year and a half, I tried to tell John, all the leadership, y'all need to be talking to Klein. They refused to.
Let me just say
They
this.
refused.
Let me say this to you, Senator Smith. Because I work for a member, that doesn't mean the member shares everything with me. I find out 95% of my information from watching TV and reading the newspaper.
Don't believe that.
Oh, I do believe it, okay? No, I don't believe. But don't think that Senator Huntley comes home every night or calls me every day and tells me what goes on in the Senate. Because trust me, it does not happen.
Well, I did try to get them to talk for the last 2
Okay.
years, and they refused to.
Good evening, panel.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here, a pleasure to see you. It's a
Well,
pleasure to
Mr.
be here.
President, just in respect of
Congress.
Mr. Comrie. Mr. Comrie says he has other meetings to attend to. It might be
So
good
if
if you
anybody has
listen to
any
him,
questions,
if
particularly
Malcolm is
for.
willing to stay to hear what maybe other people have to say. Because this is a very hot issue, but we don't want to
Right, no, absolutely.
burden our next borough
Right,
president.
absolutely.
We need to maybe get to hear from him and then go back to Brother Malcolm.
If anybody has any questions pertaining to Councilman Comrie.
Just
yes.
one.
Councilman
Comrie?
No, hold wait. If you do, just get in line right now. And, all right.
Councilman, quick
Thank
question. How do you see the relationships between RCB and other agencies being improved?
CB, what do you mean by?
CB 12.
The relationship between community boards, clubs, and city agencies?
Correct.
I think that it can be improved by making sure that we have more people that are doing direct outreach with the community board. Right now, I have the community board the community board right now has monthly meetings that are, the attendance is better, but the dynamic and focus on what they need to do in the meetings to make sure the city agencies respond needs to be improved. And until we repair that dynamic, it's going to be difficult to get city agencies to focus on anything but the dissension at the monthly meetings. So that's one thing that needs to be eliminated. The second thing is, I do town hall meetings 3 times a year with city agencies. So we need to make sure that those agencies come in. But the community board also comes up with a list of community priorities every year on what the community needs to do and what the community's main priorities are. But again, the community itself needs to work more in tandem with the community board. We don't need to reinvent the wheel on things that need to be done to try to help build community unity. We need to work with the community board. We need to work with Jackie Boyce, the chair of the community board, and try to eliminate the dissension, which 9 times out of 10 is not even about an issue. It's about policies, procedures, not even a philosophy or a problem. So we need to work on eliminating that. So I think that we need to take the community board and put them in a room and have a longer discussion about how we try to heal the river, because they're the base of the community, like it or not. And they're by charter, that's where the city agencies are supposed to go to present issues and present problems. We also can bring the city agencies in, and we do on a regular basis. I bring the city agencies in to meet with individual groups. I just had a group in my office yesterday that was complaining about Atlantic transportation. We brought DOET in, we bring sanitation in to meet with individuals, but if we do it through the community board, we have a central location to get things done. That's how I was able to get the rezonings done, working with Community Board 12 and Community Board 13. That's how I was able to get working with the schools. I meet with the schools on a regular basis to find out what they needed on their major request list every year. You have to do that in a collective type of manner. You can continue to do it. It's not something that you can just do one time and then walk away from.
Councilman Comrie, very briefly, do you believe that Ray Kelly should continue to serve this city as police commissioner going forward over the next 4 years?
I don't think Ray Kelly's record of promoting minorities or supporting the minority community benefits him staying as police commissioner. I don't believe that. So I think that Ray Kelly has benefited from having a mayor that supports him and having a media that supports him. But I don't think that Ray Kelly's record if you look at his internal record of promoting, there have been plenty of people that I know that have been trying to get promoted within the department that can't get a promotion. And they got great track records with meritorious service, and they can't get promoted. So, but the problem is deeper than Ray Kelly. The problem is how whoever the mayor is going to be responsive to the community on what we need from our police commission. And frankly, going back to the community, we need to be more focused and laser about what we actually need from the police department. So, and so that goes into a deeper discussion on how we present ourselves in the public face when we have an issue.
Well, all over the United States, police officials are elected. The sheriffs, the chiefs of police, everywhere in America.
That would require.
Do you think that a law should be passed to have the NYPD police commissioner to be an elected post?
It's not a law that would have to be passed. We would have to change the charter for that to happen.
Should that happen? Is the question. Should it happen so we can vote it?
I think that's the question you should ask all the mayoral candidates, if they're willing to do a referendum to ask that the police commissioner be an elected office.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for our colleague?
Hello everyone, my name is Sylvina Brooks and my question is Sandy related. Just in terms of some of the next steps for Southeast Queens, looking back to how the overall city response was to not only the Rockaways but even the Rosedale, Springfield Gardens area, and how we can better prepare the community to address that. So just wanted to know, has there begun to be a comprehensive conversation with the elected leadership in terms of how we move forward as a community?
There are many conversations happening around Sandy, everything from the redevelopment of the Rockaways to stormwater and storm surge protection. There are a lot of things going on. The senator's been a point person. He's been talking to the governor every day on Sandy related stuff. I can tell you that Sandy has opened my eyes that, Sandy is greater than anything else. Sandy was a message from God. If anybody doesn't understand that message, because if you read the New York Times article about the deputy mayor when everything shut down within 6 minutes, that, Sandy is a message from God. And when God is ready, we gotta remember Sandy was a level 1 hurricane with low rain, because the amount of rain that actually hit the ground was less than 2 inches. But the wind, and because it's hit at high tide, and it stayed through to the next two high tides, because it stayed for 18 hours, it created a devastation unlike anything else. It was, like they said, the perfect storm. So we got to understand, Sandy's a message from God. So people that want to live out in the Rockaways, and God bless them. But the senator and I were out there the Sunday night asking people, do you have your go bags? Are you ready to leave? We're not leaving. You know, this is a perfect storm. They understand and can predict weather ahead of time. The mayor said, you know, every meteorologist is like, get out of the Rockaways. Get out of the low-lying A areas. Remember, this was a level A storm. Technically, if it's a level 2 hurricane, this area gets flooded. York College gets flooded. So people need to understand that weather now can determine exactly what's going to happen. So if you don't heed the weather report, God bless you.
But also keep in mind that people who did evacuate were affected as well. Homeowners.
Yeah, and you know, the senator's doing a meeting Thursday on how to respond to that. There's a few groups that are actually working to help people go beyond what FEMA is going to do for them. We're going to be bringing out announcements about that soon, because remember, FEMA only does up to 75%, and now we're starting to get calls from people that FEMA is ignoring them, or they claim that water damage was not water damage, or even though they got holes in their house, it shouldn't be repaired. There's all kind of crazy stuff, because FEMA already realizes they don't have enough money. So the bureaucracy is starting to click in on the FEMA end, and they're trying to shut down and discourage people and have people not really do the full effort to fill out the forms or the full effort to fight the bureaucracy. So there's going to be a lot of problems with Sandy-related relief, but we're going to have to do everything we can as electeds to try to push back on that, to give people other opportunities to fight, and also to do planning. The one thing that Sandy has created, though, is the need to look at seriously how we do reconstruction in the Rockaways and how we do support for the businesses in the Rockaways that are still hurting. But again, I want to take the opportunity to congratulate the senator, because he's been on the ground every day, out there more than me, I'm not going to lie. You know, so I had a lot of trees down in my district, homeowners that were down. Our district was out up to 9 days, was the longest that we had no power. I think 10 days for some people. But people in the Rockaways still don't have power. They have electricity, but they don't have power. And to be out there on a day like this, and after 4 weeks with no power, you're not the nicest person. You know, because you're pissed off, rightly so. And you're frustrated even because the insurance people are not coming back quick enough. FEMA's playing games with applications again, and it's a real problem. So we need to look at, now I'm sure the Senator will talk about it some more, but we need to look at how we protect people that and I don't want to get into it, but you know, you built the majority of NYCHA houses in the A-level water area. I mean, you know, so there's a real opportunity now to look at that, because there's a new person that the mayor has put in place that doesn't look like us. I don't know how much experience he's had being with us, but
doesn't look like us.
But the issue of building NYCHA houses in low-lying areas is something that needs to be addressed. And the need to, you know, relocate people to safer areas is something that needs to be addressed. But that's an opportunity too. Because I was at the independent real estate brokers meeting the other day, and I'm like, there's an opportunity here, gentlemen. You need to take advantage of the fact that people need to be relocated, and you need to offer up your services to make that happen. And we could do that within our own community, working to house people. Because a lot of people from the Rockaways that are displaced would love to relocate to permanent housing outside of the Rockaways.
Thank you. This question is for Councilman Montgomery. It's a two-part question. One is, are you aware or did you see the report that was put out by Commissioner Kelly regarding not stopping frisk, but the crimes that are being committed in the community of New York City from January 2012 to June 2012? Have you seen that report from Kelly?
I didn't look at all of it.
Well, basically,
but I'm aware of the outlines of the report. And he's claiming that stop and frisk is going down and crimes are going down. But you got to understand something. The commissioner is responding to the push from the community to see an decrease in stop and frisk arrests. The problem with that report is that the actual reporting of actual stop and frisk accidents by the police is going down also. They're not doing the paperwork. So the biggest issue that we need to do is to, in my opinion, keep our young people with a full understanding of what they need to do when they get stopped. Because the other issue is that if we don't keep working with our young people, no matter what we do, when they get in an encounter with the police, if they're not handling themselves properly, it's going to be more than a stop and frisk incident. It's going to be an incident where they're going to be impaired for their future. Not just their life, but their own opportunity to continue to have and be to because 9 times out of 10, these cops are looking to put a jacket on these kids so that they don't have a future. And we need to get that message out as well. And that's, you know, again, back to the other gentleman's question about the police department, there's structural change needs to happen in the police department. It can't just be one commission. It has to be the entire city focused on what we need to do with the police department.
There was another part of the question, there's a lawsuit in place. Can you speak on the status at this point relative to the violation of the Constitution as it relates to stop and frisk?
The Center for Constitutional Law, the ACLU, the doo-doo-doo-doo has all had lawsuits. I can't keep up with every lawsuit. I'm just trying to keep it real.
How much time do you have?
I got until 4:30,
Okay.
so I'll stay till 4:30. You know, the Senate, I don't want to take all the questions. Right. So I can make my other 2 meetings real quick, because the association, just to let everybody know, the Association of Black Cardiologists doing an event.
Sorry.
3 events this weekend to try to talk to people about being healthy and doing preliminary exams about getting tested, because we are still the communities with the highest rate of cancer, prostate, other issues, because we're not going and getting tested. We're waiting until we're bent over and racked in pain before we go to the doctor. We need to get tested on a regular basis. So I was going there out of respect to them for taking time out of their Saturday. They're at Bethel today and tomorrow they're at St. Albans Presbyterian. And, you know, we need to work with black doctors who are wanting to come back in the neighborhood. So I wanted to go over there and pay them their respect and thank them and encourage them to keep doing this type of event. And, you know, there's another youth program that is happening as well, because we want to encourage our children to do what we need to do.
And before I ask my question, Dr. Akimba Boye, one of the doctors.
Dr. who?
Akimba Boye.
Yeah, he was there. I was there earlier. He was there.
Okay. Excellent cardiologist.
Yes, he's there.
Mr. Comrie, what is happening in the city, or are they planning on something to help undergird our infrastructure so we don't have the same type of problem that we had with Sandy?
Yes, there are many plans to look at what we do on the infrastructure side of it, to try to create better physical safety guards for this type of thing. But again, remember this was a Category 1 hurricane, and you know it was high winds and high tide. If we hit a Category 2 hurricane with a lot of rain, it's going to be a major problem, because our water table, especially in Southeast Queens, is high already. The water table is improving around most of the city, is not adequate. So you're talking about billions of dollars, multiple billions of dollars, to try to create the type of protection we need as a city from a hurricane. And that's going to lead to some real decisions about where that money comes from. And 9 times out of 10, when they start talking about where to find money, they start talking about raising taxes. So we need to look at all of that and look at how we generate income to offset all this from that as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. This question is for Senator Malcolm Smith.
Right now, I'm sorry.
But we're gonna let it go, because I gotta go somewhere.
Okay.
Everyone's gotta go.
Yeah, we got.
Let's don't all run down.
Because what happened was, because
That's not what we said. That's not what we said.
let me
That's
explain.
not what we said.
No, it's okay. Okay.
No.
Well, I just wanted you to give me a quick synopsis of what's going to be going on, who's going to be controlling the New York State Senate, since your name has come up. I got a letter from Tadika Mallory that was sent over the email about showing support to keep sure our Democratic Senate stays together.
And you know what, I'm glad people keep asking that question. It's pretty difficult what's going on there, but what you gotta remember, as I said earlier, the IDC, which is the Independent Democrats, are still Democrats, still focus on the same issues, minimum wage, campaign finance reform, job creation, pensions, small business tax credits, the whole 9 yards. What people are not saying is that for the last 2.5 years, the current minority leadership had the opportunity to try to work with the IDC, and they refused to. I don't say they had conversations and they didn't get along. They refused to. And then, after the election was over, at that moment, when they saw the numbers, they still refused to talk to them. Then, when finally there was a conversation between the IDC and Republicans that looked like a deal was about to happen, they still refused to. Then, when the deal was done, then they pick up the phone and say, it's time for us to meet. Now, for Malcolm Smith, my concern is this district. I got a post-Sandy circumstance out here that has never been before. Never. I got billions of dollars. Let's keep this in mind. Billions of dollars is coming to New York State. Do you or do you not want to have somebody that's at that table having input into how those resources are going to be used? Leroy said it. Sandy was an equal opportunity destroyer. She didn't care or he didn't care whether you were black, white, rich, or poor. He made everybody realize that we are all equal. And at this point, here's my biggest concern. Now, I'm all for other things going around the city of New York. We got other projects like the Tappan Zee Bridge and Amtrak. But I'll be damned if we're going to get billions of dollars into New York City and that money's going to go everywhere else but to Southeast Queens and Rockland. And they're going to try to do that. So if it means that Malcolm has to position himself in order to be in the best position to make sure that the resources come to Southeast Queens, I'm going to do that. And as I said before, you all know me. You know me for the 12 years that I've been in the Senate. And have I once ever made a decision that wasn't going to positively impact the district that we represent? Now, I know people are saying, well, we're a little concerned about what's going on in Albany, and I'm just as concerned. I was the leader. I was the president. I was the majority leader. I was the minority leader. I was acting lieutenant governor. Shoot, I was governor for the day. So nobody else knows better than I do what it takes to get things done there. And all I'm saying to you is there comes a point in time where you got to start looking and saying, why didn't you guys try to work this out? We don't have that kind of time. These people that had Sandy impacted on them, they want answers and challenge and solutions now. Just like Leroy said. They've been waiting now for, the day, I'm going to show you all read the story when the mayor had some choice words for me. And that's because we got into an argument because I told him, Mr. Mayor, I'm out here on 5 hours on the line trying to help people get food and clothes, and there's nothing here. And so, 30 days later, these people have challenges. I can't get caught up in a fight in Albany when I've got close to 100,000 people, notwithstanding what the people in Southeast Queens are still fighting about, for me to say, well, you know what, I can't help you because I'm dealing with politics. You don't care about the politics. What you care about is somebody producing when you have a need. The policies, the issues, that's what's important. That's what you elected me to do. Listen, this is a very challenging time. And the decision that I made was not an easy decision. It was a very, very difficult decision. But I made a decision that I think is best for this community right now. People don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Conservative. What they care about is, when I call your office, Senator Smith, or Councilman Leroy Comrie, what can you do for me?
Thank you. My question is to you, Councilman Comrie. What is being done to see that the Central Park Five get their their money? First of all, I was told, I just got yelled at yesterday. I was told that.
Just to let you know, there has been a discussion for the last couple of years about how to get this put into the forefront. There's a movie that came out about a month ago about the Central Park Five. There have been things held up in discussion on the council level for the last 2 years. I just signed off on a motion to discharge, which is something that is never done in the council. It's only been done twice because a motion to discharge a bill that's been stuck in the council, it goes beyond the leadership for the council. I'm part of council leadership. But I was just so tired of the fact that this injustice is being done. I signed a motion to discharge along with Alvan and Inez Dickens, or other leaders in the council, because this is an issue that's beyond waiting on my leader to make up her mind, frankly, on how to handle it. So, you know, well, anyhow, that's a different story. But we see, I don't have time to break down, and Malcolm started to allude to it, I don't want to tell him more. The dynamics of working within a body to be able to get things done is always a dance. I'm pretty good at dancing within the body. And as a result, I get pretty much the most money of any elected official in Queens to bring back home. But it's a dance. And it's a precarious dance, and it's one that this brother's been dealing with for the last 4 or 5 years. And but to stay on the Central Park topic, so we are trying to get this done and have a hearing done, and also work with the ACLU to get the city to step up and do what they need to do, because there are women's groups in the city that are pushing to have never let this hearing be held because of the fact that they believe that women that complain will never get a fair shake, and they're trying to link that to the Central Park 5, which is a lot of bull, and it's a lot of distraction from the issue, but it's a distraction that they're bringing up because they feel that a woman that comes forward to make a complaint about rape won't be respected. So that's their tactic, and that's the tactic that they're using why this won't be heard. But the fact of the matter is there was a injustice done to these young men. These young men were definitively scarred for the rest of their lives. None of them have been able to function properly since, and they deserve justice.
And it's been 20 years. Yeah. That's a long time. Now, I don't know how true this is, but I was told that the reason that no money has come forward, been paid to them, is due to Mayor Bloomberg. He's the one that is holding it up. Is this true? It's not just the mayor. Again, there are a lot of groups in the city that don't want this to come to pass and don't want the issue to come out because they have their own parochial biases as to trying to help minority communities. So, the New York Women's Agenda, I was surprised they got a whole manifesto against bringing this out. They are representing a lot of other groups that are trying to keep this from going on. So it's not just the mayor. There's a lot of other groups that don't want this to go on.
But the mayor has to approve it because control of that.
Well, no, it's not just the mayor. The mayor hasn't been helpful. Don't get me wrong. The mayor has not been helpful on this, but we got to push past that and these other groups to try to make this happen.
Just what Tom's saying. If there's any questions, please go to the mic. Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Livingston. I come here with a heavy heart. I'll wait for everybody else in the back.
Can we please?
My name is Kevin Livingston. I come here with a heavy heart. Not only yesterday did I go to the homegoing service of a 28-year-old man, father of 4, that was shot and killed by a 17-year-old in this district. I just left the Sean Bell Community Center. People were coming in for free clothing, so on and so forth. And to even muster that center is about to be closed. And we have leadership in Southeast Queens that can make things happen to keep those doors open. Now, I'm not coming at anybody, but I put my call out to people to help out this center. And we have not gotten no response. I went personally, and I don't tell these people this, but I'm gonna put it out there. I meet with the officers of the 103 and the 113 on a monthly basis to find out what's going on in my community. Shootings are up 20%. Shooting victims are up 25%. Felony assaults are up 4.2%. What are we doing? The Sean Bell Community Center is located on 107 Sufton Boulevard. Now, if you don't know that area, after 8 o'clock, walk down there by yourself. You tell me what you see.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to hear about a life camp because they're not the only solution. We need a community center in our community, and I'm passionate. I will stay fed. And before I leave this earth, there will be a community center in Southeast Queens, not only be 24-hour, but it will be a life changer for the people in this district. I'm tired of burying young people. There was a young man that came up to the podium, 21 years old, that said that he lost 15 people to gang violence in his area, as elected officials, and the people that's inspiring to be elected officials, put that first. I'm tired of burying young people.
For money, I've asked some nonprofits for money. You know, I'm asking everyone that I can think to ask of to try to help the center. You know, the Storm Bell Community Center is something that's very dear to me. Mother Bell and Papa Bell are some people that I would do anything for, and I've tried to. You know, we need to have a full sit down on how we can help them, because to be honest, I'm a little frustrated at the lack of response from groups that I'm reaching out to that should want to help. So.
All right, but it's not just you, and this is what we hear.
Well, again,
if you have a question, I'd rather you come to the mic. If you have a question for them.
I'm not going to lie to you and say that I can get, I'm going to reach out to, I've reached out to every major entity that I can think of to reach out to. And if there's some other entity that they want me to reach out to, I'll be more than happy to go and do that direct outreach or dollars or writing letters or whatever's necessary.
I'd just like to ask a question in dealing with that. Is there anything that, I mean, you as a councilman, you have your connections and, you know, maybe even on the Senate level, on the Assembly level, is this a discussion that might have taken place within you guys as constituents of our elected officials in dealing with this Senate? I would totally agree is that our community by far needs a community center to empower our young folk. Our young folk are in so much distorted, they're so angry, they're so disconnected with the policies of life. You know, we need our leadership, and we do need mentors in our community to have a place where these young men can go and get job training, entrepreneurship skill set, and to obtain these empowering issues to deal with everyday life. So, you know, my question is that maybe we can make this more of a round table of all the elected officials, because we don't know if all of them are actually doing the same level of concern, you know, reaching out to everybody as maybe you are. That's what maybe it's something.
Again, I'm more than willing to sit down with the Bell family and work out a joint meeting with everyone to try to figure out how we can be helpful to get them some money to do that.
We're not just saying you, Conrad. We know that you help a lot. We saying, we asking everybody else. Like the center is, this our last month, it's December. Like we have no money to open a center in January. And we're not talking about teenagers and stuff. It starts with the youth. We work with the youth like straight up coming from 5 and up. And this is what we hearing all the time. Like, oh, we asking people, we writing letters, discretionary funds, we get jerked around, we get meetings set up with Congress people. I'm not gonna put their name out. Then the meeting get canceled, they never get back to us. Like it's getting sick and tired. Like what's gonna be done is, that's why it's gonna be said. You help a lot. And we're not saying it. We're saying the rest of the people that never even seen a center. How could you be a congressperson and you never even seen a center where a man died from 50 bullets in your community and you're a congressperson? How could that happen?
I can't. I don't want to throw anybody on the bus, and even the sideways here, like she's trying to see. But there are. I think we need to come together, sit down with the Bell family very quickly and try to work something out. So I will reach out to all of the electeds and work on making them. But I just want to say that, you know, on the federal level, there's no discretionary money, remember that? And on the state level, they took away their discretionary money. So it's very difficult for people to just make money appear. It ain't what it was even a year ago.
I understand that and I concur, but we have residents here that can make things happen. I was here at the last NAM meeting and I left a number for people to join in. Not one person called. If we have each person in that zip code of 11434 donate $5 or 35, that center can stay open.
We can preach to that.
I want to preach.
Before you came in, I talked about why we don't own our own community.
We want to action.
if we want to get to a community fundraiser, I'd be more than happy to host a community fundraiser because, you know, that's something that is difficult for us to do as electeds to say we want the community to do a community-based fundraiser. This brother's still having fire thrown at him because of the group that he tried to put together that was a community-based element to do fundraising. So
I'm not trying to come at nobody.
I'm just saying that you know, if we want to do a community-based fundraising for the Strong Belt Community Center, I'm more than happy to help be the chairperson for it. But we ain't leading it. We've been down that road.
Are you ready?
You know, we need that to come from the community, huh? We need that to come from the community.
And let me just say this, let me just add this stuff. Kevin, Mr. Livingston. Mr. Livingston, I just want to say, what you're saying is
Take the
absolutely
mic so we can hear you.
what you're saying is true. And it's back to the community. You and I spoke. We have to somehow become invested in our own community. And if you talk about $5, why can't we step up to the plate as a community, as a base? And this is what we've got to work on. So I want you to hold that point because I'm on the same page as you are. We, the community, should be able to step up to the plate and support a community center while we're working to get monies from our elected officials and the powers to be. That's an excellent point. I don't want you to leave it because we're going to work on our community.
And I'm telling you, young black men in this community, are tired. They feel a separation from politics and them. We need to bridge that. I'm not coming at nobody, but there has to be a bridge there.
Kevin,
They are tired.
The 92nd Street Y is fully supported by its own community. The Asphalt Green is fully supported by its own community.
We'll see.
You know,
I'm telling you from
the
that
Bronx
side,
community,
Mr.
Good County Guard, is fully supported by their own community. The other issue is that we don't support our own community. You know, and that's why I laughed that you weren't here. But we don't support our own community. We have not. In fact, we were the lowest donors to the president for his re-election. I talked to that to other people. We do not support our own community, so there should be no reason that the Sean Bell Community Center can't put out a clarion call for a fundraiser and get some money. So let's talk about that.
My last question.
I'm glad of that.
Superintendent Murray, could you speak to the relationship between community-based organizations, district leadership teams, student leadership teams, the CDEC, and the President's Council, and what we, in your opinion, we as parents need to do to improve the system? Thank you.
I want to agree with Councilman Comrie about us supporting our communities because the relationship with all those entities that you mentioned, they depend on us. And Councilman Comrie and myself, we've been to too many PTA meetings that you can't even count, too many to number. And sometimes the attendance is very poor, and it begins there. So you have the President's Council, which is the council of all the PTA presidents in the district. You have the Community District Education Council. You have the PTAs in the schools. You have community-based organizations who show a lot of interest. They don't get the support sometimes that they need to get. I remember the days when at 231 there were 500 parents at a PTA meeting. As soon as the attendance dropped, they were able to close the school. You know, we need to come out and support, not just set up the structures which exist, but we need, I see a PTA president here from 156, so good to see you. But we don't, I mean, she had times when there were 10 people showing for PTA meeting. So we thank the community-based organizations that come out, the ones that promote mentorship, the ones that volunteer into the schools and that support, but the community has to get together to support.
My name is Pat Riley. I'm a member here in Greater Springfield. I got a couple of questions because I had applied to open Basin Community Center, but I'm not here for that. But I carried $1 million worth of insurance during the application process. I can't begin to tell you how much money I put out, but I sent a lot of letters, you know, I met with you. But I do support what the brother was saying in terms of the community centers. But aside from that, money is coming in from Sandy. We have young men, we have young women, that could benefit from apprenticeship jobs, because they need jobs. They can work along the electrician, they can work along with the construction person to learn skills that they can use down the road. The money is coming in, but young people don't have a job. So I'm just suggesting that that is one way of bringing our young people into the employment field by setting up apprenticeship and giving them some money. Because you know what? Whatever money's coming in, I still believe there's a certain portion that can be set aside to train our young people on the trades. And we have to push for that.
And I'm glad you asked that question. Two things that are going around, we just managed to accomplish, the councilman and a few others. NYCHA, for instance, one of the things we just did was make sure that NYCHA put out a program, $10 million, and they're hiring only the people that live in NYCHA to be trained to do their work. That program just started like 3 or 4 days ago. That's because we're in the right place. And you hear me loud and clear, right? That's because we're in the right place. That wouldn't happen if we were sitting someplace in the corner with our mouth shut for 2.5 years. Secondly, you saw the president just ask for $60 billion. That program is probably going to start to happen within the next week or two. We don't know if it's going to be 60 or 55 or whatever, but New York City is going to get the lion's share of that. That's where it's going to be very incumbent. That's why that flyer that you have there. The reason why we're asking people to come out Thursday to tell us how we want that money to be spent, because we don't want to get to the point where they say, oh, we didn't hear from the community. Nobody ever does this. Nobody ever has a town hall meeting that says, come tell me how to spend the money. When we put that flyer out, I got resistance. There was first resistance from some of the agency, government people that said, whoa, you can't invite the public to tell you how to spend the money. I said, oh, yes, we can. And that's the way it's supposed to be. We're going to learn from our mistakes. So we've got one program started. This meeting is going to be very important because the money that's going to come, and again, this goes to positioning. I know you guys are kind of upset at times because of what I did. Guess who's going to control the money when it comes to out of Washington? The state. And if you ain't in the right place, that $40 or so billion, which is almost the size of the budget for the city of New York, is going to go everywhere else. And as long as I'm there, I guarantee you I'm not going to let that happen. You're going to hear a whole lot about that from me. And if you don't, you're going to see me yelling and screaming very loud. Because there's too much in our neighborhood that got destroyed from Sandy, and there's too much going forward that we got to be prepared for.
And that's why I suggest apprenticeship programs for our young people. The other thing, I've worked all over the city, and I'm glad you mentioned about the cardiologists coming back and giving back to the community. We got professionals that will come back and give to the community. But Queens is territorial. I have never seen nothing like it in my life. You know, St. Albans don't know South Jamaica. South Jamaica don't know Howard. I have never seen it's so territorial that it's unbelievable. So it really discourages professionals from coming back and giving back, because who do you go to? Who do you go to?
That's what Reverend Craig is doing right now with this one for all concept.
And
It's a great concept.
let me just say this to you too. You're absolutely right. And whether it's a community board issue or something that we start, that's exactly how I speak. We are not just concerned about my block, your block. If we cover the community board 12, we got to join in Rockaway, we got to join in St. Albans, we got to come together and support where we can as a community, not just one little area. So we're on the same page with that, and I applaud you for that statement that you just made.
FEMA is hiring now. You know, for anybody that does not know, the FEMA is hiring, and it's real. You can just go on the website. It's www.newyork.us.jobs, and then put FEMA in the keyword. FEMA is hiring. As the senator said, NYCHA has a program where they're hiring NYCHA residents, and also New York State, Peter Rivera has a program where they're hiring residents that were in the displaced areas first. So, and that's through the New York State, and the New York State TAP office is right here. And I meant to go back to what Brother Livingston was saying earlier. We have in this district, within one bus ride, the New York State Job Development Office, which is the TAP office right there at Archer and 160th Street. We have the One Stop Career Center, which I pushed to make sure was the first one that we put anywhere in the city, right there in the old Mays building. How many people remember Mays? We go back that far? You know, now it's on Marshalls for those younger folks, you know, but I actually worked in the Mays. I worked in the sales, but I worked in the sporting goods department going back. I was, you know, but yeah, I'm that old, Karen. You shake your head. But, you know, but there's a career center there. We have the airport opportunities. We have 4 different groups right there in downtown Jamaica that have, the library also has a job training, job development, resume development, the career center, one-stop job training, job development, career. We don't really need to reinvent what we already have in the community if people are not using. You know, and again, back to what the sister just said, people are too parochial. They want to reinvent the wheel and do everything. We need to link up with the things that are already here, get our young people to those places, because they have room. You know, they have room. So there's plenty of opportunities for young people to go to the state employment center, to the one-stop career center, to airport opportunities, and to what's the 4th one? There's a 4th job training, job career location. I'm blanking on it right now, but there are 4 places right in downtown Jamaica, which is a one-stop from everyone, including the Rockaways. You can take 1 bus to get there to get job training and career development. The library. So, you know, there are things that we can do to make sure that happens. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel to do stuff. If you got people at a center that want a job, take them from the center and take them downtown Jamaica.
I think I'm being discriminated against because my mic is not as solid as theirs.
You want to reinforce it.
I can be very as good as
We hear you. Just a natural report.
Is this better?
No. This is sad.
I got a book here. I might start talking from.
Let's get the question.
Yeah, no, don't rush me. I've been sitting here for a long time. Okay. Now, and let me say this. We need to commend this pastor for having this affair here. And the idea of the unity in the community, unfortunately, I heard it first from that lady sitting right there. All right. I heard it first. But no matter where you hear it from, will it come about? That's the thing. That's good. Will it come to fruition? That's fine. Let me say this. I feel very bad about being here today because I'm going to have to say some things I just didn't think I would ever have to say, especially to my senator, Malcolm Smith. I've known Malcolm for a number of years when he worked for and with Congressman Clay and did a fantastic job. We worked together a number of times to get you elected to either the Assembly or to the Senate. A couple of times when Michelle and I had to hug and cry because you didn't make it. But now that you made it, I'm having some problems with some of the decisions that you're making. And the one is really the major important one that was just made that we keep reading about and heard about on the National Action Network this morning with Bourbon Charles. When I see this flyer, two things come to mind, Katrina and New Orleans. And I think God really is giving us a second chance to see what we can do since we lost up Katrina and New Orleans. And he said, let me try a different part of the country and see if they're any better up north there or than they were in the south when he went in there and tore up New Orleans. Seems to be the same old stuff, SOS. Not doing it right, the way it really should be done. It's a shame that we have to really go through this when it might not really be necessary. It's really bad that when we have people whom we elect because we have confidence in them, and then to see them move from one position or one state in the state to another state in the state without consultation, as far as I know, with anyone who may have been able to give some direction, because all the elected officials need some advisors. They don't know everything. The thing that's bothering me is that decision that you made that puts you in working with, from what I understand, a Republican Senate and some Democrats who have control over what is allocated to people in the state. My question is, how will this community benefit from your decision? And did you really consult with anybody in this community before you made that decision, since we put you where you are? I really came today to say we should really consider recalling you, impeaching you, or asking for your resignation, and have us, if we can trust the lousy governor we have, to have a special election to elect, so we can elect somebody to replace you. It hurts me to have to say this, because I've known you too long. But to see something like this happen, and the people that we put in place seemingly turn around and stab us in the back, it really makes me feel bad. I really hope that what I'm understanding about the move, I hope it's not true. If it is, like I always say about me, if I see a person who needs help and needs to get on welfare, I will do everything I can to get them on welfare. If I find that there's someone on welfare who is cheating the government and the people in the community, I will go the length of my cable tow to try my best to get them off of welfare. That's how I feel about you right now, Senator Smith. It's a shame that I feel that way, but you may need to help me understand the move that you made. How will it benefit this community? Did you consult with anybody? And I must say, I have to say,
answered that question.
did you consult with Archie?
He answered the question. That's what I asked him. He said why he did what he did. And I answered the question.
He answered that question? I must have gone to the laboratory.
He said why he did what he did.
Let me just say this, and I appreciate, Reverend Norris, I appreciate your concern.
Yeah.
I understand it. And as I said early on, most people in this room know me. And you've known me a very long time. And I have never made decisions that I thought was going to hurt this community. What I would say to you, Reverend Norris, is if you know me, trust me. Just trust me. If you let me finish. You said, let me.
Don't answer me. Please don't answer me.
Okay, well, Reverend Norris, I'm gonna listen.
Don't answer me.
But did I listen to you when you spoke?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said how you feel. If you, first of all, this is a new coalition. It has never happened in the state before.
Yeah.
Most people don't know how it's gonna happen. What's gonna happen? We don't. We really don't. So all I tried to do is position myself so that I can be the best help to Southeast Queens that I can. And the only way that's going to happen is if you're in a position where you can bring resources because you're in the majority. I don't know what the future holds for this coalition. I honestly don't. We've never happened before. I'm hoping that it works out. But the good news about all of this, if it doesn't work out, that's what a democracy is about. People make their change. Now, to your concern about equal and all that other kind of stuff, you're entitled to your opinion, man. You know, God bless you for it. I didn't make the decision for my next election. I made the decision for the people of Southeast Queens. And if they choose not to re-elect me, then God bless them. I know in my spirit, in my heart, I feel I did the right thing for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, but I'm gonna go now. I just want to wait for your question. I want to wait for your question before I left.
You ordered it?
Let her ask the question. She's been
Yeah, let her finish.
Hello?
Why don't you take this mic?
That mic don't work.
Somebody throw it up.
You guys keep Hello, good evening. My name is Alicia Loy, and I'm new to South Jamaica. I've been here for 6 months. And I've seen two sides of South Jamaica. I've seen a beautiful, strong black community. I see middle-class, hard-working people who put their kids through college in this neighborhood. They open businesses and they love and care about their community. And then I'm also seeing the offspring from those same people, the same kids of this community that's tearing this community down. And I know that there's some people who are angry in this community. They have right to be, but you're in the right place. And these are the people that we need to talk to. So I just want to let you guys know that yesterday I spoke to a lady who lives in South Jamaica. She has 3 kids. She's working, her husband is working, and they had no food. Okay? These are 2 working people and they have no food. They had to come to the community center, the Sean Bell Community Center, to receive food. And the community center is there. That's what's holding their budget together. I just want to say that it's a beautiful community, but I'm also seeing the community die, you know, and I'm new to the community, and I'm seeing it die. I'm seeing the prostitution, I'm seeing the gangbanging, I'm seeing all of these things. If you don't have a community center on Sumter Boulevard, you know, it's going to be devastating. You won't have a community. Nobody will be running for anything because it's going to be devastating. And I'm saying that from my heart, and you guys got to feel me on this one. Like, we can't let that community center go. Too many people is eating, drinking, getting clothes, baby formula, without any discretionary funds. So we got to find a way we can do it. I just ask you guys to please think about the community center, because if that community center is not on Sumter Boulevard will be coming to people's doors in the nighttime. So, just want to let you guys know. Thank you. God bless you all. You are our leaders and we need you.
We'll continue on with questions, but they've been here since 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we thank the councilman and the senator for coming out here. But we do have Leroy Gatson, who is the president of the NAACP Jamaica branch, and we do have our district leader of Community Board 12 who is here, and this is Jacqueline Boyce. So if we have any more questions that they will be able to answer, they'll be free to do so. But please excuse them, they do have other appointments and things to go to, but we can continue on with questions if that is the case. Amen? Amen.
Good evening. 2 points. I would like to work with those community officials to do the fundraising because that's crucial. And also with my church, the Greater Allen Cathedral, we also have been going out to Far Rockaway, and we would love to partner. I would love to work with those. So I don't know who you all are, but I did see.
But the mayor, because he become an expert over that on everything. But what I would suggest people do, you should definitely call the Attorney General, write the Attorney General. We're asking for an investigation into what happened to the funds. Because it took almost 2 weeks before we can really get the support, and money was being collected nationwide on day 2 of the hurricane.